Hello and welcome to This and That. And today we have St Mirren's Chief Operating Officer Keith Lasley. How are you doing today, mate?
Yeah, all good. A late night last night. We were up at Aberdeen. Got a little bit of some interesting game. To be fair, plenty of goals, plenty of action, and managed to get a last minute equaliser, which I think was deserved in the end. But late night. Yeah, back to it ahead of Saturday's match against Dundee United.
Yeah, well, I'll come back to the game last night anyway. But what kind of typical day look like for yourself in comparison? How do you prefer your new sort of role or when you were a coach or an assistant?
Yeah, I mean it is very different. To be honest, my days are, I think, varied is the best word to describe it. Obviously my remit and what I look after, my responsibility really is the club as a whole. So essentially I'm involved, obviously, in the football side of things. First team, academy, all that side of it, and the management and kind of strategy that goes into that, and everything that goes, behind that in terms of all the work that goes on, and then, but obviously also, the club as a whole, be that just the organisation of it, the commercial, the stadium, you name it, sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean that then results in the job itself being very sort of varied on a day-to-day basis, and you can really be pulled from one thing, one aspect to another, of any of those that I've mentioned. But I mean that's the exciting part of the job as well.
Yeah,
It's a lot, and at St Mirren we don't, and probably similar clubs to our size, we don't have a huge staff or anything, so you take on a
yeah,
lot yourself essentially, in the doing as well. As well as sort of setting the direction of travel. So it's all encompassing, a lot to do. But as I said, it's sometimes the challenge of the job, but also the sort of exciting part of it as well. Whereas the real sort of comparison on the football side is you're so consumed just in that specific
on
side of
the
the club.
football. Yeah,
You really are just aiming for that result on a Saturday, or the development of the players, or whatever it may be. You're really it's a lot more focused in just one area, one
yeah,
specific
as
sort of thing.
opposed
So
to
that's where the kind of key difference lies, I would say.
yeah. And as you mentioned last night, 3-3 late drama in Aberdeen. Uh, I was actually going to mention, not just on specifically last night, some more drama regarding VAR on the whole throughout Scottish football last night. As a whole, how do you feel VAR is working in Scottish football at the moment, and what improvement can be made at all?
Yeah, I mean that is a big question. That I think there's many different ways of looking at it. I mean, I think everybody's in agreement that it would, there is improvement there required. But I think the important thing, I think we've been caught, uh, almost just all the focus being on VAR, if you like, and I
Yeah,
think really the focus should be about referee development and improvement, and
yeah,
retention of the good ones, recruitment of new referees, how they're being trained, the overall standard, the strategy moving forward. I think there's a bigger conversation than just VAR, is how I
yeah,
probably feel about it. Of course, taking VAR as a whole, on its own, sorry. Yeah, of course. I think there's improvements there that need to be made, particularly through the communication lines, and when that communication is shared and how it's shared, particularly in stadium, I think is still a key issue, if you like. And then just obviously the use of the system. And you hope over time that improves. There's no doubt there's still, we've experienced a couple of decisions this year that we felt as if, certainly been difficult for us to take at certain times. But what I would say from the sort of SFA side, and Willie Collum in particular, I think there has been, since Willie took the post, a real sort of transparency and openness, at least, to come out and maybe when there has been a mistake, admit there's been a mistake, etc. But I think it's, I think the bottom line is, yeah, I think it can be better. I think it's everybody trying to work together to make it better, but there's some underlying issues there as a whole, I think, that need to be tackled, from a refereeing perspective.
yeah, definitely. I think some of the problems also arise from clubs like St Mirren or the Welsh teams like that, when they've not got the same systems like in place, obviously camera wise. different like that. So you're not getting all the angles. So a lot of decisions are going to be hard to make, and you're not going to get a full clear cut picture. And obviously the expenses to the club are already high for running VAR. So to then improving that, it's just going to improve further expenses to clubs. And as you say, there has been good transparency recently. We obviously coming out and admitting if decisions are wrong. But I think the issue does lie, as you say, uh, we're looking at it in VAR and we're still getting decisions wrong and having to come out and apologise afterwards, which is, I think, where a lot of the frustration comes with the majority of the fans and the time
Yeah,
as well that you're taking in the stadium.
no, I think
It
that's
does
it. I
kill
think
the game a bit.
yeah, that's it. But the in-stadium experience, I think, is certainly something that we obviously just need to keep looking at ways of improving that because people are paying good money to come and watch football, and it's still the sort of the best way to watch football. Being
Yeah,
there, being in a
definitely.
live moment, and so anything that takes away from that, we need to be very, very careful. We need to try and I think that's the one thing that Scottish football, not the one thing, but one of the key things that Scottish football's got is that, I think the numbers come out every year almost, that per capita
Yeah,
sort of rate of people going to matches and stuff, and we need to try and nurture that and continue
yeah,
to build on that. And I mean, that comes from match day experience from when you
definitely.
walk through the door at a stadium to when you leave. And it's any way that we can improve that. I think we need to harness that. So, yeah, I think that in that communication element, and you're right at the start. I think one of the challenges right from the start with VAR was the fact that it was, in inverted commas, a reduced system, if you like, in
Yeah,
terms of the number of cameras, etc. And again, that is just a cost. Obviously the goal line technology would be an additional, a significant cost. Things like the semi-automated offside that they've got down
yeah.
south, etc. Again, another, and all these things would obviously improve it, but again,
Again,
it's that
financially,
it's
it's
who pays for it,
yeah,
and the clubs are already obviously paying significant money for the system we've got, and it's is that appetite there to increase that, so
yeah,
it's I think there's many factors in the debate, to be honest with you, and I think everybody involved just hopes that we can move forward and actually improve,
yeah.
moving
That's
forward.
all people want, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
the right circumstances to come out with decisions, and then we wouldn't have these discussions. But
yeah,
hopefully, it does keep improving, as you say. But on to a slightly happier note, I've seen St Mirren have just recently joined up in partnership with an AI recruitment model, Driblab. So I was just wondering if you could give me a bit more background to that. I'd imagine it's around analytical tools, player signings, and obviously a lot more than that. But if you could just give us a sort of background, there's a lot of exciting clubs involved in that.
yeah. I think again, partly probably back to my role as a club is to oversee areas that we can improve essentially, and move
Yep,
forward as a club. And one area, uh, we're trying to do that as you say, is a new connection with Driblab, which is a platform basically, as you say, is a tool to through capture of data of players, a tool to try and identify more clearly and quicker and more effectively, essentially, players that we think can come in and have an impact on the club. So, no, it's very early days. I've got to say, it's very early in the relationship
yep.
between us. But don't get me wrong, we're certainly not anywhere near Jamestown Analytics and
Tony Bloom.
Tony Bloom in comparison, nowhere near it. But listen, it's a light touch. It's a first step for us,
Yeah,
and it's something that we just hope can already, essentially augment, already our sort of scouting process that we have.
yeah,
It's certainly not we're not totally pivoting into, all of a sudden we're a club that's led by data, if you like. We don't have the sort of resource at the moment to be that. And to be honest, in my view, for us as a club at the moment, we wouldn't be ready for that anyway.
yeah,
It's always going to be a blended model for us at the moment. But yeah, no, not taking away from that, we still feel as if it's a good, exciting step forward and something that we're hoping to build on, albeit, as I said, it's very early days.
yeah. Well, it's exciting times anyway. And out with that, you had a wee trip to the European Football Club's General Assembly. How good is it to be going to events like this and like learn best practice from other clubs and see how other clubs are operating, ones at the highest level, obviously clubs from all over the spectrum.
Yeah, no, it is good. I mean, being part of the ECA or EFCs, it's now rebranded. I think for the club, it's off the back of our European qualification last year, and then we were invited to become a member. Um, I just think it's exactly as you say there. It's an insight into seeing best practice, and the interesting thing, it's not all just your apps, your big hitters, if you like. You don't walk into the
Yeah,
room and it's just your PSGs and your Barcelonas and this. And while it's obviously still, good to be standing in that same room at times just to see and hear what's going on at that
yeah,
level, it's also clubs of a similar size to yourself as well from other
yeah.
countries
To
and
see how,
with similar challenges and similar opportunities. So it's a pretty broad church, and it's good, and it's just good for, I think to have St Mirren represented there at that forum, and have the badge there and amongst those other badges. So but
yeah,
it's good. It's a good resource, as you say. It like keeps you certainly up to date and abreast of any sort of the bigger movements at UEFA and what's coming. But while also, as you say, the best practice piece among your peers and making connections essentially and just trying to see if there's any advantages and bits of information that we can pick up as a club that we can then use to our advantage when we on our own turf like when we come back from these things.
100%. And you can't beat a wee night out either. A wee free night out, you will complain with.
Always good.
And moving on then, we obviously St Mirren are a club that do a lot in the community and try to get local kids and stuff more to games, and again, just helping with the community, whether it be initiatives with street football, various things like that. I seen that there's a program Goals for Growth that started up in Park Mains High School. I was just wondering if you could give me a bit of background around that, and if we're looking to increase that level with other schools in the sort of Renfrewshire area.
Yeah, I mean, involvement with schools is something that's really important to us. Again, and part of our strategy and is being a sort of playing a part in our community, and
Yeah,
being more than just about the football. And, part of that is connecting into schools. We've done that probably predominantly more with primary schools in the last sort of 2, 3 years. Um, every primary school in the area, gets 4 season tickets for the stadium on a Saturday. We also have a sort of school visit program that we visit 7 or 8 schools per season, where where players are going in and delivering sort of talks and sessions and things like that.
yeah,
But this is the first time we've really kind of moved into try to find a way of moving into the secondary schools as well. And the
yeah,
Goals for Growth campaign also kind of comes off the back of a strategic partnership with UWS, who currently are doing quite a lot of work in our academy through sort of psychosocial development of our players and which has been really good for us. And what we're trying to do is kind of horizontally transfer almost some of that methodology and use it to build a program that schools can actually use for their
yeah,
S1 pupils. Hopefully we're going to expand that, but certainly initially for S1 pupils. That's about the person's development, the young person's development, boys
yeah,
and girls. It's not a performance thing. It's not about strictly the best players, if you like, and picking that. It's not
yeah,
about that at all. It's about the people development. And between Park Mains and ourselves, we've now come up with a programme, as I said, and it's still in its infancy. It's been going now, obviously, since the start of term. But the early signs, I think, really good of a mixture of on-pitch activity and classroom activity. That really, as said, focuses on the individual growth, essentially. Hence the clue in the title in terms of
yeah,
that personal growth. And the early signs are really good. We're hopefully going to get a sort of official set of feedback from the pupils and the parents and the teachers. But I think we actually had a meeting pretty recently on site, and certainly the anecdotal evidence and the data to now has shown, an increased, in terms of timekeeping and behaviour and
yeah.
things like that for the pupils across their school, across
So an
all our
overall benefit,
subjects
just
has benefited across the board, which again is a real aim of the programme. So it's something it's really exciting for us because it's, as I said, we want to hopefully this is going to be the start of something to consolidate in Park Mains and grow within there, but also then hopefully then move across different secondary schools in Paisley and Renfrewshire.
Brilliant. And a big week next week for the club anyway. I'm sure it will be a whole system go for yourself and the staff now.
Yeah.
How exciting is it to be in the League Cup final?
No, listen, it's fantastic. I think obviously the manager and the players have just done an unbelievable job over the last 3-4 years in terms of their achievements, in terms of top six finishes, obviously European football that we mentioned, and now to a domestic cup final, which first time since 2013, obviously, and just great for everyone involved. The fans, obviously, first and foremost, just there's just something special still about going to Hampden. I managed to do that myself as a player and a coach before, and I know Hampden gets a hard rap at times, but it is just so something about it for me personally. I think it's still great for the fans to go along and really enjoy it. So we will do, and yeah, I think it's just hopefully another marker of progress for the club. And just, we certainly feel our league results haven't, I think, probably not been what we've deserved, to be honest, either. But we're not in a great run of results at the moment. But it was a good point last night, and hopefully get a result on Saturday going into next week. Where if anybody watched our game against Celtic last week will know that it was a very close match, and we're hoping that we can do the same again, because you get to a final, and some people might think, oh, Celtic, right, okay, expect them to win, and probably rightfully so will be favourites for the match. But no, I mean, we're going to prepare to go and try and win the cup. It's like you don't get many opportunities in your career to do it. And we'll be given everything to go and do it. So, but a lot going on behind the scenes in terms of organisation. Staff team are working fantastically to there's a lot goes into it. A lot goes into the organisation of it and the logistics of it, the ticketing, everything that goes with it. So it's making sure that that's all dealt with, and then hopefully we can then just get to the game and focus on that, and as I say, hopefully win the cup. Why not?
Yeah, I hope so as well. I'm got the day off on Monday anyway, so I think I'll be hungover, whatever the script is, but I'd rather it be a happy hangover than not. And just off that, then I wonder if there's any wee updates just on the third kit, the one that was chosen. I was just wondering if there's any sort of update on a potential release date for that or anything around that.
Well, I probably can't say too much about it, but what I would say is kind of watch this space is probably all I would say. I think, yeah, no, it'll be certainly more details on that. I'll be dropping very, very soon. So, I would just keep your eyes peeled very soon for some information.
No problem. I'll hopefully I will be, and just personally for yourself, then Keith, just looking back in your career, what's sort of your favourite memories of your playing career, and how did it feel to be inducted into the Motherwell Hall of Fame?
I certainly, I mean, from a playing point of view, loads, obviously lucky to play for a long time, which helps. So you've a few ups and downs along the way, but certainly a few ups. And yeah, I mean, I think just, first and foremost, always remember making your debut as a professional player, which is something that's just always, again, sort of, always kind of hold close, because I think you never sort of take it for granted, the opportunity to actually do it, which was fantastic. And yeah, lucky enough myself to play in, quite a few European matches, but which were always a highlight. And some semi-finals, finals. Unfortunately, never managed to win a cup, but some highlights there, as I said, going to Hampden and your family and fans and things like that being there as well. So, and then lucky, probably to wrap it up at the end was I was granted a testimonial as well at Motherwell, which was a pretty special sort of time and year for me in that sense as well, for my family more so. So I think that I mean, so many ups and downs. There's some individual ones in there as well, but no, very lucky, because I mean, I think if you play for whatever it was, 17, 18 years that I played, it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster element to it. You're going to have a few lows, but looking back on it as a whole, just feel a bit of pride, the fact that you managed to play for that long and just, I
Yeah,
think that's the bit probably I celebrate the most rather than one individual thing, just the fact that you dedicated yourself and managed to play for so long, which I think I always take my hat off to guys that do play into their late 30s and some even maybe early 40s. To me, that's the bit I always look at the guys and really tip my hat to the guys that do that because I know what it
yeah,
takes, particularly in those latter years, to keep yourself ready and playing at a certain level. So it's so no, so really kind of proud of that fact. And then from the coaching point of view and stuff like that as well. Obviously, some highlights in there, but it's funny football though. You don't get a lot of time to kind of reflect.
think
You're
about
always on
it.
to the next thing, and
Yeah,
which is the good thing about it. Again, it's a good and a bad thing. Sometimes you think to yourself, God, you never give yourself 5 minutes to sit and think, oh, that was okay, or that was good, or that was whatever. But again, it's just the nature of the beast. It's just on to the next thing, on to the next thing. And that's how I feel almost about this job as well, moving into a new job, a new role, and just hungry to kind of keep pushing forward. And
yeah.
I don't know, maybe one day with the slippers and a pipe on when I'm whatever age,
Cigar slippers, smoking
I'll
jacket.
get the chance to properly sit down and actually maybe look back and reflect a wee bit more. But no, I can't complain. Ups and downs along the way, as is football. But very no, it's been very good overall.
Thank you very much. And just to finish us off, then, just something a wee bit lighter. I'll give you some multiple choices, and you just tell me this or that, which one you prefer. So red or white wine?
Oh, red all day long.
Red.
Red.
Anything in particular?
No, I'm not too fussy to be honest with you. Just a good one, a nice one.
A
But
nice one.
I know I like at the right time. I certainly prefer a glass of red.
A city break or a beach holiday?
Oh, it depends what time. I think ultimately I'd probably go for beach holiday to be honest, because it just reminds me of sort of family, summer. So I'd probably, although in saying that, one of my favourite trips ever was to New York, to be honest with you. I went to New York for my anniversary, which was right up there as one of my best. But if you're pushing me, I'm probably still sticking beach.
Aye, we bad relaxing instead of
Yeah,
getting all those steps in.
exactly.
Uh, and for golf, links courses or parkland courses?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh,
See, I
that's
can
a
never
very,
choose with this one. It depends on what we're done
that is a
and
very
what the
good.
weather's like.
I'm trying to think that the best courses I've played. I mean, I played Loch Lomond, which I think would class as a parkland course, really.
That's a humble brag. That one. That's a humble
I
brag there, Keith.
I played there once, which was just like I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I'd maybe just need to stick with parkland just for that reason
Aye.
alone.
Uh, Starter or dessert?
Starter, I would say. No much. I'm definitely more of a. I'm not really a big dessert man, to be
A
honest with you.
cheater.
I would have it now and again, but no, I'm more. I definitely starter for that one.
TV series or movie?
TV series definitely the now. Bit of Paramount Plus, bit of Landman or
Oh,
Yellowstone
Landman.
or one of these things. I used to be a bit of a cinema guy, me and the missus, but I kind of fell off that to be honest with you.
I know. I don't know if it's maybe to do with a lot of the writer strikes and everything that's going on in
Yeah.
Hollywood at the moment, but there doesn't seem to be too much getting released that's worth going to see. Uh, and just to finish us off, then, if it's going to try what the memory banks here, the favourite kit you've ever worn?
Favorite kit?
Kit, top, yep.
Oh. Wow, right. There's a couple of choices here. So one's a bit of kind of left field one. One's an Everton kit because I'm an Everton fan due to family reasons. My dad's from Liverpool, and it was always that was the thing I always got for my Christmas was a new Everton kit as
Yeah,
a wee boy. So always old Everton kits, basically retro. Any retro Everton kit is kind of always a favourite of mine, kind of mid 80s to 90s. So
yep.
any of those I would pick. And then probably when I played in, I would probably say my favourite kit was actually the Motherwell kit with the kind of band across it. It's
The
the
darker
amber with the
band.
claret
Yeah.
band, which I always, for some reason, I don't know, I just liked that kit. So that was probably my favourite kit that I played in. But if I had to ultimately choose, I'm probably going for a sort of circa 86 Everton kit, something round about that era.
Are you having it in circa 1986 sizing and all? Or is it going to
I know,
be...
I'd need to expand that now. I'd need to expand that. But the good thing is you can get the retro kits, you get them. So I'm sure I've maybe got a couple in the loft, but I'm not sure they would fit me anymore, to be honest. I'd need to invest in a new one, I think.
There's something for the Christmas. There's something for
Aye,
Christmas. There you go.
exactly.
Well, I just want to thank you for your time today, Keith, and for speaking to me. I appreciate it greatly. And I hope you have I was going to say, I hope you have a very good week, but I know it's going to be a busy week, and hopefully next week's better.
Aye. Oh, listen, I hope so. And aye, hopefully you're having a good day off on that Monday as well.
We could end up
Or
transparently
a hungover
Tuesday if
Monday.
it is. But again, thanks for your time, Keith. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Cheers. Thank